Hello, and welcome back to the Awfully Irish podcast. How are we getting on, guys?
Pretty good, yeah.
Hello, greetings. Nice to be with you tonight.
Thank you so much. Today we're here with a very special guest. How about you introduce yourself?
My name is Miltos Yerolemou, and I'm an actor for my sins. And most people will know me from playing Syrio Forel in the first season of Game of Thrones.
Oh, nice getting on, man.
Thanks.
It's very exciting. We haven't had any other Game of Thrones. So,
but hopefully
for you to
I'll
be
be
the
the
first
first of many.
very much.
Sorry, lads.
Hopefully, yeah. Oh, there we go.
I was getting a packet of biscuits and a cup of tea, so sorry for the delay.
That's fine. So yeah, Jared, this is Miltos.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Thank you so much for getting on, by the way.
My pleasure.
So let's start at the
You
start.
just
then.
caught me before my little trip away for the weekend. I haven't been anywhere for 5 months, and
Where are you off to?
tomorrow I'm off to Cornwall with my partner to see her parents. So we're just going for a long weekend. So that'll be a nice thing to do. Seeing as we haven't been anywhere for 5 months, so it feels like a huge deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man.
Well, anyway, have fun with that.
I hope you enjoyed
That weekend.
it. It all goes well.
So, anyway, to get to the
We're recording.
podcast, anyway. Yeah, we've been recording.
Hey guys, how you doing? I didn't mean to put the biscuit part in the stream on the podcast.
I think the biscuit part is
Anyway,
great.
So, we were just wondering, how did you get your start then? So, did you act before Game of Thrones, or was Game of Thrones your first role, or?
So I have been an actor since I was since I left college. So I obviously I went and I didn't go to drama school. I went and did a degree in performing arts, and I've been working since then. That's about about 30 years nearly. So I've been doing it for like 30 years. So as with most actors, they've been doing loads and loads of stuff that no one has ever seen until you do the thing that everyone has seen. So how old is Game of Thrones now? About 10 years old.
Yeah.
So
If it justifies my tea
I'm
thing,
mainly a theatre actor.
I have a Game of Thrones mug right now. If that helps in any regard.
It doesn't. You were late. Go on.
Sorry.
So I was mainly a theatre actor, and dance background, which kind of led me to being, having lots of experience as a fight choreographer, and doing a lot of fight scenes. So they needed someone who could pick up fight choreography quite quickly and easily. So so I've been doing it a long time. I feel like I need to retire, to be honest. I may be taken out of my hands. I think I may be retired because.
So you cut off there for a second. What'd you say?
Cut off there.
Just the last part.
Oh, the pandemic has basically retired most of us.
Yeah.
As actors, that's the thing.
It's been a very tough time for the film industry and the actors and everyone who works in film or TV. Yeah, you guys have it really tough during this time.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, there's no work. I mean, there's nothing's happening. There are some productions that were about to start that were halfway through starting, which are starting again. Like the most high profile of those are things like Jurassic World, which has obviously started filming again. But new project, who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. So you played on a lot of stuff. I was looking at your IMBD earlier, and you've been in loads of
which
stuff.
is
But
impressive. It's very impressive.
what's been your favorite role to play?
Oh, there's a lot of it is theatre, to be honest. I love doing Shakespeare. That's kind of my favourite thing to do as an actor because
Yeah.
because it's such a challenge for me.
Would you ever take on the role of
And
Hamlet?
I'm too old to play Hamlet unless they do like a geriatric version, but which they probably would do. Um, I, I think most people play Hamlet when they're in their 20s and 30s, but I really enjoyed working at the Royal Shakespeare Company, which I've worked on and off over the years, and so for me the challenge of doing Shakespeare is one of the greatest things because I was one of those actors that was always known for being a physical actor, you know, as a dancer or an acrobat or a physical comedian. That was the kind of stuff that I used to do, and so getting the chance to do Shakespeare was one of those things that I thought I never would be able to do, and I also thought, even though some of my first experiences of seeing theatre was going to Stratford upon Avon and seeing productions with Jeremy Irons and people like that, I didn't really think that that was the kind of stuff that I would end up enjoying and doing. But interestingly enough, I have absolutely um, uh, it's the kind of thing that I pursue. You know, if I'll turn down a lot of theatre, but what's the right opportunity of doing it? Because also it's difficult. I actually don't think it's particularly straightforward, and because it's so open to interpretation, it requires a kind of a level of investigation, which kind of always makes a job more interesting than just doing stuff that you can do in your sleep.
Yeah, and that's how you want. That's what you want as an actor. You want an interesting role, interesting job, because you can
Especially
add
with a
more
lot
to
of
it.
Shakespeare's characters, because they are so complex,
Yeah.
and there's so many different ways that you can play them.
Yeah, I mean that's why we keep doing it, over and over and over again. You can see a million different versions of Midsummer Night's Dream, and they'll never be the same.
Yeah.
That's very true. Yeah.
Which is an amazing part of theatre.
Very,
My favorite, I don't know what to call it. I think it's, I don't
Adaptation.
know what to call it. No, went to theatre in London before to see the Fiddler on the Roof. Fiddler on the Roof.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. The performance that was done on that day. I love theatre. I'd love to go see a few things after this, after COVID, like.
Yeah. No. And I think was that the one that was in the West End?
I think so. Yes. Yeah. Last year.
Okay,
Jesus, whose
about
mic is that?
Stars.
Woo!
Just put yourself on mute, Tara.
That ain't easy. Yeah, it was on last year.
Yeah, I heard great things about it. It's a great musical.
Absolutely
Anyway.
amazing.
Yeah. And yeah, no, I'm a big fan of theatre. I've been to loads. I've seen like Annie, and I've seen Jesus Christ Superstar, and it should be that one's a bit. It's a long one, but and then there was also like this primary school there that day, and there's one scene in it where I think it's Judas like takes his own life, and the entire primary school, around 500 kids, just all left in, but they all did it in like where where they have to like the lines where you have to like line up. So it took them like half an hour to leave the theater.
I remember. I'll tell you a funny story. I remember being at school. I think I must have been about 13 or 14, and I remember watching Jesus Christ Superstar, the movie, in assembly. It must have been like Easter, and they had us all sitting about 200 kids in a darkened room watching this movie projected on the wall. And I remember two things about it. One, that my friend who was sitting next to me was trying to pierce my ear with a safety pin. Do not even ask me why that was happening. It was the 80s. I mean, who the fuck knows? He's unsuccessful, but I do still have the scar. And then having nightmares afterwards, after watching that goddamn musical, of waking up in the middle of the night and seeing the face of Jesus pressed up against my window. I used to sleep right by the window, and it used to terrify me. So that's what Christianity did to me. Gave me nightmares. Probably why I'm an atheist now.
Yeah, wow. Jesus Christ, man. Jesus. I started thinking about getting your ear pierced. I remember there was one morning on the bus where these two lads were piercing their ears with do you know the things you get cocktail sausages with? The sticks? They were piercing each other's ears with those things. Toothpick. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
That sounds just awful.
Just so bad.
But that sounds like the school we went to. Like,
it's so bad. Like,
there's a lot to say there, but we'll try and move past that. A lot to be said about lads piercing each other's ears in school.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what on earth that was about, but it was kind of trendy at the time.
Yeah. Do you get recognized a lot for being Syrio? Kind of a lot of, because it is Game of Thrones is pretty big over in England, you know.
For all of the roles you've done, 'cause you've done a lot of roles.
Interestingly enough, I get recognized more abroad than I do in the UK, and it's either two reasons. One could be that I think people in the UK are quite are less demonstrably excited to meet someone or see someone who's been in Game of Thrones or a big a TV show that they really liked. So sometimes people are a bit more kind of nonchalant and a bit like cool about things like that. I think the UK audiences are much cooler, I think. But definitely when I'm in America, I will be kind of, people will mention that they recognize me or where really, but in the UK, not so much. I kind of wander around in complete anonymity, which is good. Or else people just don't care. And that's okay too.
Have you ever had a bad experience, like when you've been recognized, like someone just was kind of weird?
No, because unlike some of my friends who have played quite unlikable characters in soap operas, I've never kind of played a particularly controversial character, whereas I know that a couple of my friends who are in soaps like EastEnders have had death threats because of the characters they've played. So no, I've been very lucky.
I know someone who got that a lot on Game of Thrones was Jack Gleeson. That poor lad. People
really?
Guy who played Joffrey. Yeah, people. He got a lot of shit for that.
He was a little shit anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a shit. I mean, I don't really. It's kind of weird that kind of thing, because of course he was so obviously playing the baddie that I'm amazed that people kind of took it to heart so much. But there's no accounting for some people's, how they take these things. So yeah, poor dude. But he's like one of the nicest guys in the world. He's such a thoroughly decent chap.
Yeah.
It's just part of people not being able to separate TV show from reality.
Yeah, or an actor from the role.
I think it's more to do with. I think it's not just TV shows. I think it goes much deeper than that.
Yeah.
for some people.
Yeah, the actor and the role, two different people.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, sometimes actors can play similar roles to like, who they actually are, but still not them.
Like there's some actors at the moment playing as Nazis in The Man in the High Castle. I love those actors so much, but I don't think anyone's actually taking that as a thing of them being like Nazis or something. So
I hope not.
that's a pretty difficult role as well.
If they're
He's a
not
sensational actor.
Like we talked about this before. Like you'd have to pay me like a little bit extra to make me play a Nazi. It's not a role I'd line up for, really.
Yeah, but the thing is this is the thing about acting is that all actors, and I think it goes without saying that all actors, if they're given a choice, would much rather play a nasty piece of work than a good person, whatever that means. But play dubious, morally compromised, unsafe characters is the best thing you can do as an actor, because that's where all the fun lives. Obviously, if you're well adjusted, if you're not very well adjusted, then obviously it will make you go insane. Commit murder. But I think generally speaking, most actors will really enjoy the challenges that playing characters that are difficult to love, because what you want to do as an actor is kind of investigate and interrogate why those people behave and act and do the things they do. So you have to get under with your imagination and a little bit of research to figure out what makes these people tick, and that's actually quite an exciting thing to do.
I want to ask I brought up method acting there, but what's your acting method? Like, we've had people say they base characters on people they've met before, or they just kind of wing it. What works for you?
Shoes.
What?
Always start with the shoes. You find what pair of shoes the character plays or wears, and then everything's easy after that.
That is a very interesting answer. Can you elaborate?
I need to hear more.
So I'm being a little bit facetious, but it is true that I think, who was it? There was actually a very famous actress who said, Eileen Atkins or some, I don't know, probably someone much from a different generation to Eileen Atkins, said that she always starts with the character shoes. That if you know what pair of shoes or what a character will wear on their feet, then everything else falls into place. So I don't have a method. I don't think there is ever a method. I think it's all a case of like a paint. You kind of it's something that you kind of put together gradually over time. Sometimes characters are so well written that you don't have to do anything, that literally all you need to do is say the lines that have been written for you, and that's it.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have to understand what you're saying and why you're saying it, and that obviously is a fundamental part of it.
Yeah, mine gone. Nope.
But the reality is that, I mean, the idea that like acting, there's an old-fashioned idea of acting as pretending to be someone else, but I mean that's kind of a very Victorian idea of what acting is about. Nowadays, acting is just about how do you find a way to communicate something and tell a story in as authentic a way as possible. And because it's all about how do you move your audience. If you're making something, why you're making it, why are you telling the story, the casting process now is so much so that very few actors will ever be asked to. I mean, we've got famous actors who play lots of different parts, but the idea of having an actor who is really, really versatile, who will be asked to do many, many different things, that those actors are few and far between. The majority of the time, actors are just asked to give an authentic interpretation of a character so that you kind of believe them. And the only way you can really do that is by trying to find what the truth is. So it's less about pretense, it's more about trying to find a way of communicating that character in as authentic and honest a way as you can. And it's really difficult, all right? It's easy to kind of talk about, but very, very difficult to do. And that's why, you know, really good actors who can do that, like Ian Holm, who just recently died, he was an actor who could do that. It didn't matter what part he played, whether he did comedy or horror or anything in between, he could always find characters that you would always believe in. There was always a truth to what he did, no matter whether it's fantasy or, you know what I mean? It was, you always believed in what he did, and that is really the art of acting as far as I'm concerned. And so everything you do as an actor is trying to find what that truth is. It doesn't matter even if you're playing a crazy monster, do you know what I mean? Like, you still have to find what the truth of that character in that situation is. So that's a real skill.
No, that's a lot to soak in. just give me a second.
Yeah.
What you're saying there, like, with like playing monsters. Have you ever had to play a character where you're like, if this person was real, they'd be a complete monster?
No, I've never played a character like that. I played characters that had you know, yeah, I've played characters that are manipulative and dangerous, but I haven't played characters that I would call monsters.
Okay, fair enough.
Do you find that helpful, or kind of like, oh no, I want to play a character who's like kind of horrible?
Like, do you want to play like an extreme villain? I can see it.
Yeah, I'd love to play an extreme villain. I'd like to play Iago in Othello. I think he's an extreme villain. I think he's really interesting because you don't really ever know why he does what he does. So the actor who plays that part has to find what that is. They have to find a reason to do and say the things that they say, and I think that's really exciting. And he is definitely, I mean, his actions lead to people's deaths. So I would say that's a pretty extreme monster. And he takes pleasure. He takes pleasure in it. So so that's something I'd love to do one day. But I don't know. I don't think it's a case of, like I said before, you know, there is of enjoyment in it, but that's only the art of it. The reality is that, you know, what you want to do is play characters that are interesting and that kind of connect with you on some level. In the same way that when you read a book, there are some books or a movie that you'll watch, there'll be some things that connect with you more than others. The same thing goes for if you're an actor and how parts grab you. One actor's really exciting project is another one's like, I'm not going to touch that. So it's very subjective, and it just depends on you as a person, what your tastes are, what interests you. Yeah. So that's and also, you know, you got to remember that it's really hard. It never gets easier, acting. Because it's never the same twice. So it's not like you just get better at it. The process is always different. The people you work with is always different. The directors, the pressures on you is always different. So there's never a place where you ever feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Your job as an actor, or the art of it, is to try and find a way to do the process yourself, so that not lose your mind through anxiety or worry or stress. But I mean, most actors suffer that. I remember many actors I've worked with who are incredibly famous and have had such prolific careers and have done so much work that you just think to yourself, "Oh, these people, they're the best at what they do. They're the absolute best at what they do. They're so good at what they do. Everything they do is fantastic." Us as an audience and as their colleagues always have complete confidence in what they're going to do. They themselves are a bag of nerves. And it's like that is really, I don't know many actors who are just, I mean, they may appear confident, but it's just a facade.
Yeah, as an actor, you'd want to be fairly confident because you're in front of a lot of people, and then the pressure on set as well.
You just find ways to cope. You're never really that confident. Something happens when, let's say, if you're in theatre. For me, I get really nervous before I go on stage, but once I'm on stage, I'm fine. But for the whole day before doing a show in the evening, I'm kind of distracted, and I don't feel comfortable. I can't really concentrate on other things. But once I'm on stage, it's fine. And certainly afterwards, I feel fantastic until I wake up the next morning and realize I have to do it all over again. So it's a constant, I mean, someone should actually say to me, maybe you're doing the wrong job, which is perfectly reasonable and probably, I think, might be true. It shouldn't be that difficult, surely.
Have you ever messed up a line on stage?
All the time. I constantly do it.
Like, to the point where it affected the show, or just like you recovered?
No, I'm not really. The trouble is that you get very, because let's say you do a show. I did a performance of Midsummer Night's Dream. We took it all over the world and we performed it for 2 years. We took it everywhere, and in all that time, I don't think we ever did one show where something didn't go wrong in some aspect. But it's not. You stop worrying about whether it's perfect, because there's no such thing as a perfect show. And so the art of doing theatre is that you have to embrace the fact that it's live, and you embrace that in the sense that you don't worry about it being perfect. In fact, if it's perfect, there must be something wrong. In fact, I would 100% adhere to that kind of analysis of theatre, is that it should never be perfect. It should always be, because if it's perfect, or if it's too precise, it means that you're missing something which is really fundamental about live performance, which is it has to feel that it's only happening at that moment, in the same way that we're doing this interference happening all the time. This is the nature of doing something like this, is that you're not going to, you could probably go back and edit it out and do some mixing with it and get rid of it. But the point is, in live theatre, it should feel that whatever happens in the moment makes it authentic and real. And so without it distracting, you have to incorporate it and embrace it, so that ultimately it just becomes part of doing the show. because things will happen all the time. You'll have audience members walking in halfway through, people dying in the audience. That's happened many times in shows I've done. Literally,
I thought you
people
meant laughing.
carking it.
Seriously.
Jesus
And
Christ.
it's like, it's just have to.
Don't say you have to keep going on.
No, that's not normal.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Jesus
no, you don't.
Christ,
But
like.
it's profoundly upsetting. And so, you have to find a way to kind of just, theatres are very strange places because all sorts of things happen in them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never had an experience like that in a theatre, I'll be honest.
No, and I hope you never do.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very fortunate
Seen
to
Hamlet?
It's
not.
happened more
Loads of
than
people
once
die
to
in
me,
that.
though.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's not fun.
No,
Yeah,
that's
that
right.
sounds horrible.
That stays with you. It's not cool. Yeah. Where do I even go from there?
I never
I'm
even
sorry.
thought about that as like a thing.
So sorry, I didn't mean to upset you.
No, you didn't upset us. It's just,
Wasn't
it's not something
expecting
you
it.
think of.
Yeah.
People die everywhere, like, but in theater, like, you don't think about that, especially if you're the performer.
It wasn't. It was a heart attack. I mean, it wasn't. I mean, not that any. Oh, we're not going to carry on talking about this, but those hot, stuffy environments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? How do we move that on? See, this is like just what you were saying with theater. Like, we've had mics buzzing. We've just got hit a dead end because we got to a certain topic. Anything can happen. Regardless, it gets done.
Yeah, no. Well, every episode of Mike buzzes at least 3 times, so
Recently, it's been
that's
okay.
a shame. Yeah, well, that's because I catch it. Like, I can hear it a tiny bit when it starts, and I'm like, all right, mute Mike.
So, I have my question. If someone wants to start acting, they want to be an actor, what advice would you give them starting off?
Get really good lighting. I've got terrible lighting. I'm so sorry. I can see that as the light is fading, it's getting darker and darker on my face. So I really apologize for this.
It's okay.
I'm a terrible. I have no idea about these kind of things. I hope someone's coming over to switch on a light. This might make a difference.
Hey, there you
go. Thanks, Holly.
Thank you.
See, it's as simple as that, really.
Yeah. I don't have anyone here to turn the light for me, so I'm going to get darker as we go on.
So advice to young actors, or old actors, because you can start acting at any time of your life. That's the great thing about things. I think ultimately, I always say this thing. I even said it last night. I was having a conversation, and I always say that if anyone asks me what my advice is about starting acting, I always say just don't do it. Whatever you can do something else, and stick to that, because you'll be much happier.
Yeah.
And I'm only half joking, because it's a really tough profession, and I can't even imagine what it must be like for young actors to be doing it right now, because it feels like 30 years ago there were enough obstacles in our way, but there was less pressure in the way that there is now. But I guess we have a much healthier film industry than we ever did 30 years ago, so that's kind of positive. Yeah, I mean, our film industry is America's film industry, of course. Everything is being made here, but it does mean that there are a lot of opportunities for British actors. I wouldn't say Britain has its own film industry. It just piggybacks on America's. So, but that's really good. You have to be driven and dedicated in a way that is almost unhealthy, I think. And so it's problematic, because it's an industry that asks so much of you and doesn't really give you anything back. And I guess you could say that there is a lot of industries nowadays that are like that. My partner's a teacher, and she works so hard, and yet on many levels, teachers don't have uh, the respect and the remuneration that they
Yeah.
deserve because of
My
the
heart
work
goes out to all
and because
teachers
of
out
their
there.
influence. Yeah, because of the influence they have on everyone's lives, and
And
and so
kids don't give
so
them a break.
so and all public. So let's look at our nurses and our health workers during this pandemic. It just goes to show you that the people that who kind of get the biggest rewards aren't necessarily the ones who contribute the most to our society. It's not just I'm not just talking about me, but the fact that we have to make these choices based on what is it that how do we want to live our lives? What is it? Like we if you're intelligent enough, there's a million ways of earning a living. So why be an artist? Most of the time, people are artists for for the reasons that they've always been artists, which is that they have only one way of expressing themselves. I wasn't very academic when I was at school, and so for me, it felt like the only way that I could connect with people with school and with my friends. Um, but because it had such a profound effect on me, it meant that I pursued it, and I was lucky enough to do it and meet people who encouraged me, and I really got a kick out of it. So
That's a
whatever
big
you
part of it
do,
too.
you have
People
yeah. So
aren't
so whatever you
encouraging
do, you
you.
have to really really want to do it.
Yeah, and you'd want the support as well, because like if people aren't encouraging you, it's a bad environment to be in. We've had other actors on before us who were told by their parents, their friends, like there's no point doing it, and that they would end up being nothing. Loads of bad energy going towards them. So
Well,
you know,
that's the family I came from, because my parents were not at all encouraging of being an actor. But that's the reason why I did it, because it was despite what they
look at you
that
now.
that led me to do it. Because, and I think that is what I always say to actors, is that the reason why I tell them do something else is because I know that if they really want to do it, and if they are going to be halfway successful, then they need to not list people like me, and they need to do it anyway. And that
Yeah,
really is the bottom line. You mustn't ever be discouraged, because you need such a thick skin, because you're going to be knocked back. There's never going to be a time when you're going to go, oh, I've made it. I've done the thing that I wanted to do, because that never ever happens. And I guarantee you, people that we think are successful are saying the same thing to themselves. They're going, I may be quite, famous, or I might be able to do all these kind of jobs for and get paid a lot of money, but I'm not really doing the thing that I really want to do. I'm not
yeah.
expressing myself in the way that I want to, and that is the kind of curse of being an artist, I guess. Is that there's always something else you want to be doing.
And you do consider yourself an artist as an actor, yeah? Some actors don't for some
Yeah, I've
reason.
never considered myself an actor, because I don't ascribe to the idea of just being a jobbing actor. I can't be told, oh, just say these lines and stand over there and do this, because I just, it drives me crazy. I get so bored. So I will never ever do a job where I'm just asked to be a jobbing actor. I've done those jobs, and they have been the worst experiences of my life, and I've given up acting because of jobs like that. So for me, I have to do a job because I believe in it, that I have a connection to it, or I really am proud of it because it has something interesting to say. To me, that is the most important thing, and it's really the reason why I do anything. It's not so easy, obviously, because uh, you have to be a very very lucky person to be able to choose your jobs. Most of the time, you just say yes to whatever you're offered, because that's all there is. That's the
Yeah,
reality. But I've been lucky enough to get to a point with theatre where I do get to pick and choose what I will do theatrically, and so yeah, I have to, because otherwise, there's so many actors, and they really should, they deserve to do that job. And if I'm like only 80% interested in it, I don't think it's fair to take it away from someone who would be 100% interested in it. So I always try my damnedest to do stuff that I really believe in, that I really want to do, that I know that I will put my heart and soul into. Because if you don't, then what's the point of doing it?
Yeah. It's kind of,
Exactly. Yeah.
you gotta put your heart and soul into that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we should do that with everything we do. Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah.
I mean, we're only going to be dead a long time.
I mean, if with some lower end jobs, you do not want to put your heart and soul in them.
No.
Very true.
No. But that's why you better get rewarded really well to make up for that.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
That's what I would do
very true,
to
yeah.
change the balance. If you have to do a job like that, then you get rewarded to do it. That's it.
Yeah.
Thomas, are you talking?
Thomas, you are so quiet. Maybe you fell down a hole.
Is your mic set to your mic, or is it set to something else?
His mic set to 0.
It's not set to your mic. Thomas, no, I don't think that's the problem. Go into your mic thing, yeah. Hover over default communications.
As always,
microphone.
technical difficulties.
Yeah, sorry now. Go over to no, the top one.
I'm sorry.
The Trust GXT. Now try.
I'm sorry, I was holding my breath for that entire thing.
You're a fucking idiot, Thomas.
Oh my God! Have you been here all this time? I haven't been able to hear you.
How long
I
have
can
you been
barely
talking
hear
for,
you.
Thomas?
Yeah.
Thomas, how long have you been talking for?
The last 45 minutes.
Has he gone back? Going quiet.
All right. Well, I guess he's stuck at the moment, so we'll let him fix that. But
Yeah, of course.
we'll continue on.
So, what would you say is like your favorite type of role to play then?
I think we covered that.
Oh, did we? Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm just
which one of your characters was your favorite to play? Which do you identify
very
with?
many distractions at the moment. Yeah, there we go. I meant.
I really like. What did I play recently? I got to play the Fool in King Lear.
That's cool.
To Don Warrington's King Lear at the Royal Exchange. And I really, really, really love that. And it's not necessarily the role, it's not really the role, but the dynamic between those two characters, King Lear and his Fool, is like something that is so unique to the two people that play it. You know, it's not like a choice you make. We never made any choices about how we're going to play those two. I mean, he had to make lots of choices about the way he was going to play King Lear, because it's such a huge role. But I decided not to make choices. Everyone wants to kind of do the gimmick and kind of go, oh, I'm going to play the Fool like this, and he's going to have a ukulele or a nose pipe or something. You know, people make those kind of decisions when it comes to clowns and fools in Shakespeare. But I decided to not do any of that. It's about the experience of doing the job.
Yeah.
And that is what makes it special, and that's what makes it unforgettable. Because, you know, the role, I mean, there's lots of roles I've done which are really exciting and brilliant, but most of the time I can't remember half of them, because I don't watch most of the stuff that I do. I literally do it and then I never ever watch it.
Yeah,
I've moved on to the next thing. So
most of the actors we've
unless
talked
it's
to have been like,
unless it's Game of Thrones, of course,
yeah.
which I have to watch over and over again.
Yeah, you just get
So many
reminded about that
conventions,
role
and I get
so
asked so
much.
many questions. But I'm very proud of that. I'm really proud. I'm proud of doing all the stunts myself. So yeah.
I mean, you were the greatest swordsman in all of Westeros, so
And I
But
still
yeah,
am.
exactly. But yeah, like, sorry, no, we had a bit of technical difficulties there in the middle of the question. Thomas actually unplugged his.
But
So
I
we're
was
just gonna
recording,
splice
so we
together. Don't
saved
worry.
it.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah, just what a day. This does not happen. I swear to you, this does not happen ever.
This is like the first day I've gotten my computer back, and like it's so much quicker now. Like it boots up in 5 seconds. Like I was just like, oh, finally now there'll be like no technical difficulties. And then today Thomas unplugs his PC, all the mics are going haywire, and
I apologize.
yeah,
But yeah.
So it's Thomas.
it's
Say hello, Thomas. Or is he
Thomas. Yeah,
gone?
No,
he
Thomas is gone. He has to.
he's booting up
He's
his
probably
PC
gone for
again.
the
I
rest of
think.
the interview. And
Yeah,
I know you got to go
to tell
soon,
the
so
truth.
we'll finish up on a final question. There, you got a question?
Go on.
Do I got a question?
No pressure.
Yes, I do actually. No, I do. If they were to ever, so obviously with Game of Thrones, you know, the ending, everyone's kind of disappointed. Some people liked it, and some people hated it. But you know, they're doing a spin-off series now as well. So, ever ask for that you'd return, or do you think that they'd recast you? Hopefully, not recast you, considering.
I think they would definitely recast me. In fact, if I were the producer, I would definitely recast me.
Why?
I think that they did say that when they came to the prequels, they were never going to use any of the actors that were in Game of Thrones.
Oh,
I mean,
right.
for obvious reasons, of course, because it's set in a completely different.
Yeah, you want to
I mean, I think
separate
it's
it.
hundreds of years in, but I think they definitely said that they were never going to kind of ask any of the original cast to be in those prequels, and that makes perfect sense because you know, I think the thing that was the most unique thing about Game of Thrones is that it introduced the world to a lot of actors that no one had ever heard of before, and that was what I think is so good. Some of them were really, really well established actors in the UK, and it's just that no one else had heard of them, and so that was really exciting. And I think that is the kind of key to most places' success. You have to cast according to the role.
Yeah.
And that is the most important thing. So I'm always much happier to move on and do new and exciting different projects. I'm not one of those people who gets obsessed with wanting to kind of do the same thing again.
Yeah.
So
Sorry about that,
I'm
guys.
always
Sorry about that.
excited about the new stuff.
Thomas, are you on your phone? Because I can hear your jet engine PC.
No, I'm back on the computer, but
So what is jet engineering right now?
I don't know. But
Anyway.
sorry about that. I know the video cut off, and I feel bad. Sorry about that. Anyway.
Okay, I saved it. So anyway, I know you got to head off. I hope you've a great little holiday or a staycation kind of thing.
I'm gonna have a nice 4 days.
We hope you do.
You better take your time, relax. You've earned it.
Exactly.
Especially
after being on this.
We're going to go. I'm gonna need it after this podcast.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Well, it's been a pleasure for us to have you on.
It's okay, guys. It's actually.
This wasn't a pleasure with all the technical difficulties.
Well, listen, it was a pleasure to talk to you, and hey, I think we got some good stuff though.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So,
Hope you have a great day. Thanks everyone for listening. Yeah, are you on social media if people want to follow you?
I am. You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram and on Facebook under my name. What's the thing that I'm going to be in next? Oh, I'm in the sequel to The Hitman's Bodyguard, which
I
is
love
going
that
to come out
movie.
this year. Yeah, well, we shot a sequel last year, but it's not going to be out until next year. But that is going to be.
Why would you say that at the end of
something.
the interview? Come on, man. That's just life changing.
No, see, it's my
Speak. You dropped out of the
coup de
interview.
grace.
Yeah. Good
Yeah.
point.
I didn't know that. Did you play like a big role in it, or?
And I just play. I'm not going to tell. I'm going to spoil it for you, but
Okay.
I play a guy who tries to kill Samuel L. Jackson's character,
Fair enough.
but
Absolutely
as you can
fantastic.
imagine, it doesn't go that well.
Yeah. Well,
Doesn't
I'm looking
go
forward to
that
this.
Well,
Yeah. We'll definitely be watching that anyway.
it was great. It was great fun to film, and Samuel L. Jackson called me a motherfucker. So I feel like I've achieved a life goal there.
All right, that is a goal.
That's incredible.
That's incredible, man.
Life goals.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
All right,
Right.
boys.
You take it handy. You
Very
have a
nice
great
to
day,
talk
sir.
to you, and have a good the rest of the summer.
Same
you.
goes. Take it handy. Have a great one.